All right, today we are diving into the absolutely fascinating world of hematology, which is, simply put, the science of blood. It's kind of like the river of life that flows inside every single one of us, and understanding it is just so key to understanding our own health.
So, have you ever stopped to think about that? What secrets are really hiding in just one single drop of blood? That one question has driven centuries of discovery. In that tiny drop, we can find the building blocks of our immune system, we can find clues to genetic conditions, and even the markers for cancer. It's a whole microscopic universe that tells the story of our health.
So to really get this journey started, let's nail down the most fundamental question of all. What exactly is hematology?
At its heart, hematology is the branch of medicine that's all about blood. But it's not just the blood itself, it's also about the organs that create it, like our bone marrow, and all the diseases that can affect it. The name itself kind of gives it away, seeing as it comes from the Greek word heme, which means blood.
You can pretty much break the whole field down into three main areas. First, you've got the study of blood itself, what it's made of, what it's supposed to do. Second, you look at the tissues that are responsible for making that blood. And third, and this is a huge one, you diagnose and treat the massive range of disorders that can pop up, everything from simple anemia to really serious cancers.
But, our understanding of blood didn't just happen overnight. The history of hematology is this gripping detective story, really, with clues being uncovered piece by tiny piece over hundreds of years.
And that path of discovery, well, it kicks off way back in the 17th century, with the very first time anyone ever saw a blood cell. From that point on, it's just one revolutionary moment after another, figuring out clotting, doing transfusions, and eventually getting to modern blood banking and safety. Each of these milestones completely changed the face of medicine.
So that journey really began in 1642 with a guy named Antony von Leeuwenhoek. He was using one of the first really powerful microscopes, and he looked at a drop of blood and saw something that no one in history had ever seen before, these tiny individual cells. All of a sudden, blood wasn't just some red liquid anymore. It was a living, breathing, microscopic universe. That one moment made the entire science of hematology possible.
Now let's fast forward over a century to 1770. That's when an English surgeon named William Hewson earned himself the title, the father of hematology. He was the first person to accurately describe how blood clotting works and to identify what we now call white blood cells, or leukocytes, the soldiers of our immune system.
The next huge leap wasn't just about observing, it was about intervening. In 1818, James Blundell performed the first successful human-to-human blood transfusion. Can you imagine how incredibly risky that was? But it was this monumental step that proved that you could actually move blood from one person to another and save a life. But even so, transfusions were still a really dangerous gamble for another 100 years. The missing piece of the puzzle was discovered in 1901, when Carl Landsteiner identified the A, B, and O blood groups. This breakthrough, and then figuring out that type O was the universal donor, finally gave doctors a reliable way to match blood and stop those fatal immune reactions that happened so often before. It was an absolute game changer.
And all of that incredible history brings us right into the modern hematology lab. So what does a healthcare scientist in this field actually do all day?
A huge part of the job is the hands-on work, analyzing blood samples. Scientists are using everything from super high-tech automated machines to the classic microscope. They are the first line of defense, really, scanning for any abnormalities in blood cells, deciding if more tests are needed, and doing that critical job of cross-matching blood for transfusions or digging into clotting disorders.
But the work doesn't just stop at the microscope. Not at all. A massive part of this role is all about communication and support. Hematology scientists create detailed reports, they give critical data to doctors, and they help their colleagues make sense of really complex results. They are such a vital part of every patient's healthcare team.
So why does all this history and all this lab work really matter? Well, it's because it's all working towards one goal: fighting blood disorders and saving lives.
Yeah, this isn't just some academic field. Hematology is right on the front lines of patient care. Specialists are directly taking on a huge range of diseases, from the incredibly common to the truly life-threatening.
And the scope of that work is just unbelievable. Hematologists manage everything from one of the most common conditions in the world, iron deficiency anemia, to inherited disorders like sickle cell disease and hemophilia. They're also right at the center of the fight against blood cancers like leukemia and lymphoma. And of course, their expertise is absolutely essential for life-saving procedures like blood transfusions and bone marrow transplants.
You know, when you think about it, from that very first glimpse of a cell to modern gene therapies, this field has come such an incredibly long way. It just leaves you with one really exciting question. With the pace of discovery today, what will be the next chapter in the story of blood science?